The rock here is granite, right? Pretty hard rock. You look at the river and you can see how the granite is polished on about 2.5, maybe 3 meters above the river now. If you look further up, it's rugged, there's no polished area. If this river has been cutting its way through the rock for millions of years, all the walls would be polished. They're not, they're just at the bottom, which means the river has been running through this gorge just for the last few thousand years. So it had to be a global flood. But if it was a global flood, any geologist who can imagine a global flood will accept that he can explain the fossils and the sediments. You see, that particular, apparently minor issue, what kind of a flood was Noah's flood, totally changes our perspective of the scripture, right? So it's important to see what the fossils tell us, and depends on what you choose to interpret them. Now, as a geologist, I have to deal with two things here. Can I find geological mechanisms that can produce a global flood? Yes, I can. Plate tectonics does explain a global flood very well. Number two, plate tectonics is this fact that the surface of the Earth, the uppermost layer of the Earth, which is the crust, is divided in plates which slide and move, and in some places they sink, in some other places there's lava coming from below and solidifying and creating a new ocean floor. So it's a dynamic movement of the Earth's crust. So plate tectonics, when it started, can explain a global flood. Number two, do I have evidence preserved today? It is the fossil record. To me, the fossil record is the evidence of a catastrophic burial, mostly by sediments laid down in water. And that's exactly what we have. So as a geologist, for me, that's not a problem. The moment I could visualize and could geologically and scientifically explain a possible mechanism that can cause the flood. Because you get two main questions here. Let's face it. Where did the waters of the flood come from, and where did they go? The answer is the waters were here in the ocean, and the water are still here in the ocean. All you do is move a part of the water from the oceans over the land and then bring it back. And that's what plate tectonics did. So therefore, I have a credible mechanism based on existing geological data as well as lab experiments which confirm to me that when plate tectonics started, it could have caused a global flood. And the aftermath of that is the fossil record and the sedimentary record. So that's very simple, very elementary, and still very valid. Caves are a final stage of this. Caves could not have survived the flood because everything was destroyed. Now, caves are a post-flood feature. They came into existence after the flood. And sure enough, we have indication in Scripture. We read in Genesis 20 that actually Lot and his daughters were hiding in a cave, which is about 450, 470 years after the flood. So in this shorter time after the flood, caves are formed. How? Well, it's there's a whole range of possible mechanisms, and I explain these in my book, the Cave Book. But essentially, it is the solutions coming from deep inside the Earth as a result of plate tectonics that have moved upwards and dissolved the limestone from within. What we see today, water, acidic water coming from the surface, infiltrating, dissolving a part of the limestone and redepositing a part of it as speleothemes, stalactites, stalagmites, flowstone and stuff like that. That's a secondary process. It's not the process that created the caves. The caves were created by solutions coming from below, which were in very, very large volumes and very chemically active, right? So caves are evidence that after the flood, we had mechanisms that could have formed them. Based on this model, I can definitely say that caves are very young, thousands of years, not more. And if that is so, the world itself is not very old. So it basically, I can stay within the 6,000 year time frame of the scripture if there was a global flood and the caves formed after the global flood. And there's no evidence whatsoever that caves existed in the sediments or that have been laid down during the flood. There's no such evidence. So caves only exist today. And they're the result of a post-flood ice age processes.
So thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us. What do you have here?
Well, what do you expect from a caveman? A cave book. I wrote a few years ago. It contains 48 years of my caving experience. You can find this book and many other good resources at our website, creation.com.
Is that a good place for people if they want to find out more about the creation theory?
By all means, that's the place.
The place. Creation.com. CREATION.com. Thank you.
My pleasure.